Hello peeps, today we're playing a game called From the Depths. Not much of a very known game, but most people know it. Not that many though. And today I'm doing a Let's Build series to go into the campaign. And today we're building a light cruiser. Well, we're not finishing it, but we're building it today, so I'm probably gonna get the internals up and ready, but no turds yet. It's gonna be like 5 episodes to build this, so get ready and we are going to start building. Okay, so the AI is always first. We need to put the behavior to naval because we want that, but naval is actually pretty useful when you're in Air 2 because the air AI is pretty bad at maneuvering, at like everything. It just sucks, so it's better to use the naval AI. It sounds weird, but it's actually true and better. Now we have to finish up. Now that we have the AI, we need to put the wireless transmitter on it to give it all the stuff that we need to connect to all of the weapons. Then we're going to place down a PID. This I myself, well, I was really struggling to use the PID because it's really hard to use, and there's a lot of guides on it, but it's like 5 years ago the people made the guides on it, and the interface has changed a lot and most of the things are different, so you won't understand from the guides. So I'm making a 2021, the current PID system, so I'm gonna explain it for now. So the input signal is it's what you want it to do. It's what you want it to change. So basically the pitch is if you want it to face upwards or downwards. So it's gonna make the pitch. It's gonna make it it's gonna make it basically like this, like I'm showing you right now. It's gonna make it as flat as it possibly can, so it doesn't flip over. But then we need to assign a propulsion. So if we would place down, for example, this little rotor here, we would see that it's taken to pitch up. So if you drop this right now, and it would, and it's a propeller, so it can go both ways, so you don't need it on both ends. So if you drop it, the propeller would spin according to the direction of it needing to be stabilized. Or you can use a propulsion pitch. It's automatically assigned to them in what direction they're facing. But for example, if you want to do roll, that doesn't get assigned. It just says it's pitch. So you have to put pitch to 0 and then use roll. For example, if this rotor starts to activate, it's going to face to the roll right. So this is now going to stabilize roll, which we don't need yet. And then we can assign it to any, like send messages all to the devices listening to A. So we can change it to the MISC axes, which are here, and then you have to put a pitch down to nothing, and then again put A to positive to max. And if you want it to go the other direction, you put it on negative. Then I gotta say, I'm not the best at this, but I don't understand any of these three. But I worked out, and I was just estimating numbers, and I worked out that if you always write 70 on all of them, it always works out for me. No, I mean if you write 0.7 here, and you always make the integral time and the derivative time, you make them follow this line here. And that's how it always works out for me. It's a very stable number, and most of the times your ship is then very smooth. Then, after pitch, we have to assign two more, propulsion roll. Then so again, input is roll, and then output is propulsion roll. And then we need 0.7 again, and then match the other ones to the line. And if you would see, you can see enable fake set point. This you don't use in propulsion roll nor pitch. You use this in the input, which is called altitude above mean sea level. Then I usually put this on A. And then you use the enable fake set point. Sounds weird, but all of this does is that it commands in meters how high do you want it to be. So the EPAD tries its hardest to get you into that altitude. That's what the fake set point is. It's just a number for whatever you're doing. And in the case of altitude above mean sea levels, it's how many meters you want it to be above the mean sea level. And I put this to 0. I want it to be stable, not moving. And I just want it to be able to go straight, turn, without flipping over. So now that we have done the AI and all of the internals for the AI, we need to put the armor around it so it doesn't get destroyed. This is the core of the ship, is the AI. So we need to protect it well. For now, I'm gonna use heavy armor, but heavy armor has a flaw. It's very EMP susceptible, which means that EMP can easily go into it and destroy your AI, which we do not want. So there's a special type of block, which is called a surge protector. This absorbs EMP and takes it into it, and takes its own health off while protecting whatever it's there. So it has a giant EMP susceptibility, so it catches it really easily and stalls it inside it. But if you want to, if you're the budget, you can use wood, because wood, electricity does not pass very well through wood. You need tons and tons of amounts of EMP damage to be able to pass through the wood. But the surge protectors are a better option, but they're the more cost option. So if you're a budget, you need to use wood or stone. Stone is very good too because it's pretty strong, so it can survive. Now that we have done that, we need to we need to make the fuel engine, which is very important if you want your ship to move. But there's other way of making power for your ship, like steam engines. But for now, for this ship, it's not going to be all that large, so I'm going to use a little engine here, fuel engine. These engines, they don't explode. What explodes in engines is the fuel, which needs to be stored safely within heavy armor like the AI, but EMP doesn't kill it. Now, to set up an engine, you need some cylinders and a crankshaft and a generator. A generator is the most important part for it, because it's what actually makes the power. The crankshafts are what connects the cylinders, which to make the power for the generator, which then outputs the power. So now we have all these cylinders, and as you can see, if you put down a single fuel storage, as you can see, it's making not much, 150. It's not a lot of energy. So now, if we go to fuel engines, we have all of this stuff. These are all upgrades to make it more efficient and to make it more powerful. So you always attach carburetors to it because those help to make it more efficient and not very fuel consumptious. So we have to attach turbochargers, which help to increase the efficiency, and then superchargers, which increase the efficiency too. Then we need to add some injectors. These lower your efficiency by a large amount, but if you look at the amount of power outputted in the down right corner, you can see that if I put one, it gives us a lot more power just by putting one on. And now it's gonna overheat if we don't add any exhausts. If it's gonna overheat, the engine stops working, and if your ship is a submarine, it could sink and die. You don't want that. And it could stop moving and be susceptible to cram cannon fire, which as well you do not want. This ship is gonna have not many cannons, and we need ammo storage, which is ammo storage is very volatile. By that I mean it's very explosive. So we have to store it within heavy armor too. because it could destroy your whole ship if you're having a missile craft, which requires a lot of ammo. So as you can see, this is as high as it will get, and we're using this hull pipe, so it looks. So basically, it's not just for looks, because if you can see, it looks pretty disgusting if there's blocks around it like this. We need to have we need to have a hull pipe around it, which fills up the whole block and makes it look a lot nicer, and it adds a bonus of the hull pipe is stronger. It can take more hits, unlike the normal pipe. Now that that is done, now that the engine is fully done, we can move on to another part of the internal system, which is getting the fuel for the engine. So again, we're gonna have to use heavy armor. This acts as a explosive barrier, so in the case they do explode, the explosions are not gonna come through and destroy all of the parts here, but they're going to help us do this. They're gonna help us protect all the internals. So if you get killed, if your resources get killed off here, it's not gonna be good, because if it explodes, it's gonna damage a lot of things around it. And if we contain that explosion, it's not gonna do much. So now we need to add the fuel. Don't add too much fuel, because fuel is very not cost efficient. Fuel costs a lot. I mean it. It costs a lot of resources to have just building the block. So it's good if it's well protected. And as I was talking, there are other ways of making energy. So if you don't want to go by the fuel method and having to refill every while and often, you can always use RTGs, aka electric engines, which can easily help solve that issue, but they still don't solve one issue, which is the cost. These RTGs don't output as much energy as these, but they cost a lot of resources. But then you have another option, which is called a steam engine. A steam engine, it takes resources, in turn makes power from the resources, from materials, basically. It burns them and then makes steam out of them, which pushes pistons, which then generate power, and a lot of power. So these are mainly used in large crafts, which we do not need. But the fuel engine is the easiest option for a beginner is an RTG. But as the fuel engine is kind of complicated if you want to make it efficient. Now that we have done that, you have to armor up this whole section, because this is very important. So we have to put a metal ore around it, into the walls and everything. You have to put metal everywhere in a little block. And you see all this free space? That's going to be used for repair bots and resource storages. So repair bots can repair because they need the resource on board so they can repair. They can't take resources right from your whole resource pool if you're playing campaign. I'm doing these builds because these are going to be army builds for the campaign, and this is going to be our light cruiser for the campaign. I'm expecting like 10 episodes of building before we launch a campaign. Put into comments if you want it to be an adventure or a normal campaign. Now that we're armoring it up, we can press F to fill it. This is very good for you because it saves a lot of time. You just click a single button and it fills the whole thing. If there's no escape. So basically, if you want to fill the whole section I just did, and there's this little hole, you can't, because it has to be a closed off space so you can fill it in. Now we're gonna add all of the resource chunks and what we need. So I am going to use a little material storage. As you can see, these don't cost much, so you can just fill them in like this. as you can see, another thing, I have to have the enclosed space, so I cannot fill this part here. So I have to enclose the space here to make it work. Now we can fill in the resources. And if you look into the down right corner, you can see our resource storages. So right now we have 39,000, which is a lot for this little craft. And then now we add the repair bots. These are little bots that fly around and repair repair broken structures on your ship. But they repair pretty slowly, so they're not gonna save you into battle. So they're not gonna save if you're sinking. And they require a lot of resources to build too. So if you run out of resources, resources in battle, they're not gonna replenish, and your bots are not gonna work because they have nothing to repair with, and it's just not gonna work out for you. Now we have to add the last piece, which is ammo, which we do not need much of. But if you're going with advanced cannons, you need a lot. I mean it. You need a really large amount of ammo, because to fill clips, it costs a lot of ammo to fill clips. Now we just need to add the ammo and we can finish up this episode. Now we've done this, we need to save the vehicle or ship. We're going to name this Starting Campaign. Sorry for the bad spelling. That's it for today, folks. That's finished, and now we can stop this episode. Hope your day goes well. Bye.